Yeah. Hi everyone, I am Akshat, and today joining me all the way from New Zealand is Simon, and he'll be sharing some of his experiences. It might be personal and it can be related to music. So let's get started. Hi Simon, tell us about yourself and what's your name, where are you from, what's your professional like, and how's life currently in general?
Hey, Akshat. Thanks so much for setting this up. It's awesome. It's nice to talk to you. Thanks for getting up really early to accommodate me. It's like 1 in the afternoon. It's real nice and sunny here. And Akshat's like gotten up at like 5, I guess, at 5 to talk to me, which is awesome. Um, yeah, things are good here. New Zealand has we kind of just went through a second, COVID lockdown. Um, we're doing a real, when there's one case, the whole country kind of locks down. It's a real like we just so. But that was fine. I'm at home with my partner and my dog, and like it's quite nice. And I'm a nerd anyway, so it's like more time on the computer. And my professional life, I work from home anyway. I do graphic design and a bit of marketing and communications. So yeah, it's been good. Kind of life as usual with some small changes. And we're coming into summer, so it's great. Yeah, sunny.
That sounds great. Moving on, what comes to your mind when someone talks about music? How has it impacted your life?
Yeah, it's an interesting one. When I was younger, I didn't have much of a connection. I kind of you know couldn't really afford CDs. I had a mini disc player at some point, but we didn't really have much in the way of internet. I grew up in the country, so but then at some point when digital came through and I was more independent, I went to uni, I was studying and stuff. I kind of compensated. I was like, I'm gonna listen to everything. I had to borrow CDs off friends while I was younger. I couldn't really listen to stuff, and then I'm just like, I'm just gonna go crazy. Um, yeah, so definitely, yeah, definitely, kind of just that experience of a whole world kind of opening up with so many different sounds, and each each different genre is connected to like a different type of people and way of expression. And then also in the more locally, like at some point, my friends after uni started moving away, and then I feel like I use music, like a lot of local shows, especially punk shows, to kind of connect. Now I've got a different community that's around me, and a lot of that's through music. You know, yeah. So yeah, big influence for sure.
How did you come across MusicBrainz and why is it a part of your life? Why did you want to get associated with a community like this? And what's the take? How did you find it?
Yeah, I think I am a good. I think I am the kind of person who is attracted to stuff like music brains. I like sorting things. I worked for the library for a little bit. Like, metadata and all that is like something that I like just kind of connect with. But the way I found it, I think, was I was studying, procrastinating, and I just looked up, like, I think I just downloaded some like a game soundtrack or something. I was just looking for information, and then Music Brains popped up. Um, and then I think something was missing. So this page pops up, and I'm like, oh, it's all here, but like, why is there no track times? And I'm like, I can log in and like fill that out. So I think that's a pretty quick. I'm like something's missing on the internet. I've got to I've got to fix it, right? There's like some people are like that. And then after that, this was at uni. I kind of started. I kind of a bad year at uni, and I started procrastinating. I was like, I'm going to tag all my music. I'm gonna like I can't do my assignment until I've tagged these like 50,000. And that's not like that. That's interesting because that's not a healthy way to do it, right? And that's that's like the non-social aspect of being on your computer. And I was just fixing my files on my own. And then it was probably a couple of years later that I really found the forum and started submitting. And for me, that's what's been really rewarding. Like, I would never tell someone, oh, I spent a year just tagging my music, right? But now like that's kind of a personal thing. But if I say, hey, I spend quite a lot of time helping everybody around the world tag their music, I feel like that's a really cool, for me, that's something completely different. I'm like really happy to be doing it. And, yeah. And here I am.
That's amazing. How do you get to contribute, as you have been saying that you get to help people tag music? So, what's that background like, and how long have you been associated with MusicBrainz in the community, and what's the community like from your perspective?
Yeah, it's been maybe I guess 10 years. I'd have to look, about that, but that's on and off, right? So like, I would have made the account to like fix something, then maybe 3 years later kind of come in a little bit, and then and I have had breaks of like a couple of years as well, or a year in between, um, depending on how it fits in with my life. So at the moment, I'm pretty settled. It's a nice distraction. I've got this time. Like work's not too busy. Um, yeah. Oh, sorry. I forgot. What the question was.
Yeah, I think that answers it well.
Oh,
And
yes.
what's the evolution of music like according to you? Because music keeps on changing, there are new genres every day. So, what's your favorite genre, and how do you see the evolution like?
oh, that's that's a hard one. Um, favorite genres for me. It's all got a time and place. So when I'm working, I listen to a lot of soundtracks, a lot of game soundtracks. Um, the I've kind of found that you know made for people who spend a lot of time in kind of it's like an atmosphere. Whereas a movie soundtrack's like, oh yeah, there's this moment that's really exciting, and we're going to play that track once. Often a game tune is like, okay, we want the player to feel relaxed for potentially 8 hours. They need to listen to it over and over, and I think that translates really well to while I'm working. And I guess that whole genre, I mean, that's evolved a lot because it wasn't really appreciated except for by the real fans, and now we're seeing a shift towards people are realizing that basically there's money. Um, you used to just find it on YouTube or fan rips, and now it's like out on vinyl. You can't really play it on stream; it's going to get blocked. It's like, so that's a real big kind of shift from like something that was pretty niche into something that's being like widely appreciated now. Um, and then that's completely different to if I'm going to a show and then I just like it to be like, yeah, mainly punk lately, like a bit of metal, kind of like grindcore, like definitely heavier genres. Because I think, the community is really strong. Definitely like a strong community, people having fun. It started off with metal, but that scene's got its own issues, and so does the punk scene and stuff. But generally speaking, they're more kind of politically active, and like metal's got this idea of like it's just music, like it's not political, like you shouldn't, yeah, the lyrics are racist, but who cares? It's just music. And yeah, so and for a while I was like, oh yeah, that makes sense. But eventually, as I got older, and yeah, I started realizing, oh, I'd rather hang out with people that are really, I don't know, not that are interesting outside the music as well. Yeah, so yeah, the light for me going out on the weekend to a show is something real different to when I'm working at home. I remembered the last half of your last question now, which was about the community. and I am going to answer that because I think it's really interesting. Because yeah, MusicBrainz is a fascinating community. It's so geared towards developers. Like there's a real specific kind of person who uses MusicBrainz, and they're the same as me and like kind of the love for data, but in terms of coming at it from like a user experience point of view, which I know that which is why I'm excited about you being on board. Really cool. Like someone who's like, yeah, let's get this homepage looking nice. I'm like, oh wow, yeah. But yeah, it's so interesting. So I'm meeting all these people who are, and I've started learning. I haven't started coding, but started scripting, just the most basic stuff. But it's definitely a window for me into like the minds of these people that are just looking at like from the development side, and MusicBrainz been stuck a little bit. I think that's why we need people like the more of the same kind of person you have, the more it stays the same, and the more you attract the same kind of person. So I think that's just since MusicBrainz started, it's just been like that. It's for a niche audience, which isn't bad. Maybe it'll stay that way. Maybe it'll turn into like my friends being able to like jump in and know what it is. But yeah, we'll see.
A lot of people think that contributing is all about the code. Do you agree on
Mm.
that? Because you have been a part of the community for 10 years, and I do say that you have been contributing a lot. You are one of the most active members out there. I personally met you when I was uh, asking people for their opinions about the MusicBrainz app, and you came along and you shared a design with me, which is currently in the MusicBrainz app. So that's how I found you, and over the course of time, there were a few other community posts that I made, and you would reply to them. That's how I knew that there is Simon out there who is looking our back and is always there to help us out. So, is the contributing phase only about the code, or it can be in multiple ways?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I mean, the easiest way for something like MusicBrainz, which is great, just like something like Wikipedia or something, is like I do think the editors, you know, um, I love the people who make the plugins and stuff. That's huge for me. But I guess I still feel like sometimes I sit down and for 4 hours just add releases, by hand, and like that is needed. Like I think everyone who does that is like just as that's just so important. You can't do it without them. In terms of the forums and stuff, I definitely feel a bit. Yeah, I like the social experience, or the community experience, and I don't know. I kind of try and stay off social media and stuff. So I enjoy the kind of the MusicBrainz forums much more. It's kind of productive. Um, I found it kind of hard to contribute because the pathways for code, again, it's going to set up for developers, right? So like you've got GitHub, and you can just kind of jump in, you can just do it. So I find myself with my suggestions, they're more like, in my work, I would work with a developer and I would submit a wireframe. Um, Generally, in MusicBrainz, the developer just does it. There's not really any. So it's great. The fact that you post for input, that's different, and that allows me to contribute. Right? I'm like, oh, this is in my wheelhouse. I can, whether you use it or not, I can contribute. So yeah, with the development side, it's been, yeah, I'd say I definitely can't contribute as much as the developers, but I can make myself available if there's a shift or, you know, um, yeah, but on the data side, definitely, I feel like everyone's a member, right? I don't ever feel like I'm on the forums and someone new comes in and people are like, oh, well, you don't, you know, you don't develop anything, like you're not welcome here. So that's great. There's no division.
Yeah. Are you familiar with the other MetaBrainz projects, somewhat like Listen Brains, Critique Brains, and stuff like that? Have you explored them yet, or it's something you don't think about, or you don't understand what's the need for them or something like that?
Yeah, I think they're great. I think they're really good. I think we could do with like another 100 brains. You know, it comes up in the forums every now and again. Like, where's movie brains? That was like a few days ago. Yeah, why not? I do. You know, I think my time is pretty limited. Like music brains. You know, I've about 1,000 things I want to do. You know, there's like 10 lifetimes worth of just editing that you could do on there. So I do find I've done a few reviews and critique brains. I think that's a cool, you know, that's a cool project. Um, Listen brains, I've been submitting some listens, but yeah, because I guess the more interesting at this stage. There isn't a big social element there. There's not too much to pull me in. Book brains, at some point, I think it'll reach a place where I'm going to be like, okay, I want to like I'll submit these books, but yeah, at the moment it's just a time thing. You know, I'd love to do all of them. Yeah, but and Music Brains is just the kind of the first one that I came to. Yeah. Do you are you active on those? Just wondering. Are you
Yeah, that's what my point was going to be. That do you think these are individual projects, that Listen Brains, Critic Brains, and Music Brains are all like separate and individual in their own aspect, or do you think they are correlated? And I would answer that as we are coming up with a few ways where we could be entangling them and maybe bring them to the app. And there'll be a social aspect to that, that anyone, if you're submitting your listens, you can find it on the app directly, that, these are the kind of people you have a similar music taste with. And you could use the app or the forum to uh, get a lot of information about that kind of music and stay in touch with them. So maybe like a tender for listeners. That's what
yeah.
we could think about. So I would say that all the projects are interlinked in some or the other way. It's just that we need to make it more accessible to everyone.
Mm. Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, you know, it's so ready for it. Um, I, I'm not. Yeah, maybe you've got more insight into this, but yeah, I guess there's a maybe it's because you know the community kind of thing and the developing way that it's set up. It's not really a hierarchy. I feel in the you know there's no strong okay, we're going to tell you to do this, and this is our goals of how it all links together. You know, I think who do I see on making book brains like Monkey and you know, there's a couple of people who just do it. You know, and that's where I feel like okay, I'm not sure the vision's there, been there to be like how do we link these all really strongly. And I guess that's kind of coming now. Yeah, I'd love to see them all linked more. There's no, yeah, and again that kind of comes down to UI stuff. You know, it's yeah, and sometimes I think music or the brains projects they've got all this incredible data, and it's just there, and it's kind of been waiting for someone else, for other people to use them and link it. I'm starting to reach the point where I'm thinking like maybe MetaBrainz should look at using it themselves. You know, how do we use this data to make incredible visualizations and you know interesting stuff? Because yeah, I guess an interesting case is Last FM, right? A lot of I feel like a lot of editors came from there because that was a practical application that was built around socialness or you know the social environment of commenting and stuff. But you had to change data on Last FM, you had to change it on MusicBrainz. So as soon as you've got a reason for people to come that isn't to edit data, but it's to like you say, like to listen to music because they saw a comment, they want to talk to someone about music, and then they start doing that other stuff. You kind of need that pathway. So linking it, I think Listen Brains has heaps of potential to bring people in. Yeah, it's good.
So what's the future like according to you of music and especially of music brains? So what do you think it's going to happen, or do you have any suggestions and stuff like that?
Yeah, it's interesting. I think MusicBrainz going to be in trouble a little. Well, not in trouble. It's always going to be, and it will adapt. But the streaming age is already, it's causing a little bit. Again, like I said earlier, we've got a certain type of user on MusicBrainz. They've been, often dealing with physical media, reasonably resistant to change. Not everyone, but like there's just the people who use it for a certain thing that's been around for a long time, and we are starting to. I'm not a big fan of Spotify, but definitely digital media. Is old enough now to be a big thing, but yeah, I think the younger generation, you talk to them, they only listen on streaming services. So that's going to be really interesting to see at what point MusicBrainz feels like, okay, we need to do this, or are we going to stay, are we just going to stay a resource for this other thing? And Discogs is doing great and they just do physical, pretty much no digital. So like, it's not a, there's no, yeah, you can make that decision, but I would love to see MusicBrainz be a bit more flexible, I think. And yeah, just thinking 10 years ahead and being like, this is what it's going to be like. But maybe I mean, I don't know what you think, but maybe it is community driven. Everything goes to discussion. So it's hard to get that kind of clear, have someone be like, okay, this is what I think is going to happen in 10 years and let's do it. I don't think we really have that, right?
Yeah. What are your thoughts on the open source nature of MetaBrainz in general? And do you think it's good to be open sourced? And what are the benefits that you see?
Yeah, it's interesting. I feel like I'm not, because again, I'm not a developer, so I don't get kind of the background insights into that stuff. I love open source in a very practical way with MusicBrainz. And for me, I look at Discord, it's a great resource, but there's no guarantee that it will be accessible for everyone. It is worth money. There's like a lot of money tied up in it, and why should anybody donate their own time to something that could be owned by a conglomerate, a media conglomerate or whatever, and close its doors the next day? So yeah, I guess I see the value in a really practical sense. Just as a contributor, I want to feel like I'm giving my time to everybody and not to, not to somebody or a few people. And as nice as they might be, they can pass away, or they can end up in legal trouble, or they, totally validly might need the money. I wouldn't begrudge anyone, I wouldn't begrudge anyone that. But the idea that I'm really doing it for everyone, is amazing. I hope it, and that people give their coding time to it is amazing as well. It's awesome.
I think there's a lot coming up for the community, and a lot of work is going on. I would say there are amazing people on the team, and we are all looking forward to amazing projects incoming, and the projects will get better with time. We do have a lot of insights on how we are going to be doing that, and we'll be keeping up with the community and sharing timely for your suggestions and comments on that. I think that's about it for the video. And to end it all, what's your favorite band currently?
Oh man, I should have gotten ready for this one. Favorite band. Let me have a look at what I'm just gonna cheat. I'm gonna look up. I want to see what have I played the most recently. Let's have a look.
I suggest you use Listen Brains for that.
Yeah, let's do it. Oh, actually, yeah. Too Mellow is. He released an album called a new album called the sequel to Memories of Tokyo To. It's a homage to a video game called Jet Set Radio Future, which has had the best soundtrack. And he's kind of a rapper slash music producer who just basically has recreated that sound in the best way. So yeah, I don't know. We'll just leave it. Oh, and locally, there's a band called Piggery that some friends play in. That's a good, that's more kind of metal sludge. Again, like more my weekend sounds. Too Mellow and Piggery. That's probably my recommendations. Yeah. Can I ask you what you listen to?
I personally love Linkin Park and the band called Bring Me the Horizon. So it's kind of on the rock and metal side, but I am usually I listen to what people love. So
Yeah.
if pop is in the market, I would listen to pop. I don't have anything against it, and I do keep up with the Billboard's top 100 and all that. So I was listening to a lot of Machine Gun Kelly for the last few months.
Oh, cool.
So that's that, and I'll make sure to link your profiles from MusicBrainz and MusicBrainz in the description, and we all could follow you. And I'll be looking up what's going on with you, and we'll be connecting soon.
Awesome.
Sounds great, and I think that's about it for the video. And have a great day, everyone. Thanks a lot, Simon, for your time. It was wonderful talking to you. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks so much.